Surely, you've thought that you are living in the present. But in reality, have you ever truly met it? Or have all your moments slipped away, only for you to realize you're living in the past when thought finally catches up? To speak of thoughtlessness is already to engage in thought. A thoughtless thinker is a terrifying creature. No hesitation, no regret, no inner dialogue holding them back. A zombie and an enlightened sage look eerily similar on the outside. Both move without doubt. Both operate without the burden of mental chatter. The difference is that one has transcended thought, while the other simply never had it in the first place. So, what separates a lunatic from an awakened being? The truth is, we are never truly in the present. By the time you register a thought, it's already old news. Reality moves faster than your cognition, leaving you perpetually one step behind, narrating events that have already slipped through your fingers. You are like a bad sports commentator trying to keep up with a game happening just a little too fast. Even before a word leaves your lips, it has already been sculpted in thought. And before thought even forms, something else precedes it. Thought is not even the first domino. It is a midpoint, a middleman, pretending to be the source. If thought is always too late, always chasing the present, but never quite reaching it, then where is the present actually happening? By the time you recognize a moment, it has already passed. You are not thinking reality, you are remembering it. In fact, this isn't just about the gap between thought and speech. The same delay exists between raw, unprocessed experience and the thoughts that try to make sense of it. Something happens. Your mind grasps at it, frames it in language, and only then do you understand. But what about before that? What is reality before you wrap it in words? This is the paradox of conscious experience. You exist in a state of constant retrospection. You never meet reality head-on. You arrive slightly late to every moment, only to find it has already moved on. And if your thoughts are always lagging behind, then who or what is actually living in real time? The you that reflects is never the you that acts. The moment you think about what you are doing, you are no longer doing it. The moment you think about being alive, you are observing your life from the outside. Thought is not an instantaneous emergence. It is an ongoing process in which cognition references itself recursively, generating higher-order reflections, such as thinking about thinking. We are never fully able to speak our thoughts because words are clumsy, and the machinery of speech is a poor translator of our inner world. The moment you think something, it is already distanced from the original purity of the idea. Language always carries the residue of its imperfection. What comes to your tongue is not exactly what was born in your mind. So, this distance is not merely temporal, it is also ontological. We are never fully able to represent the essence of a thought because thought is bound by the inherent gaps in language and perception. Every time you speak a fragment of the idea, the pure thought is lost in the incompleteness of expression. You speak it, but if it's always fragmented, imperfect, and partial, then this distance is a necessary feature of reflective consciousness. There is something deeply absurd about the fact that even to negate thought, we must think. This is the distance between raw being and intellectual apprehension, between presence and articulation. That's why no experience can ever be described exactly as it was lived. The second you translate life into language, you lose the immediacy of it. Words require structure. The moment you think, you fragment. The moment you name, you define. The moment you define, you exclude. Thoughtlessness is undivided, but the mind is a machine of division. Even in meditation, in those fleeting instances where thought seems to dissolve, there is an awareness of the absence of thought. This awareness itself is a form of cognition, a meta-thought, a shadow of thinking. Beyond the micro gap of cognition, there exists a deeper separation between pre-thought and thought. Before a conscious thought forms, there is an underlying conceptual gestalt, a raw pre-linguistic structure of awareness. This is the non-thought form, a space where ideas exist before they crystallize into words or even structured cognition. Some call this intuition, others refer to it as pre-verbal cognition. But the phenomenon is consistent. Thought does not emerge fully formed. It congeals from an implicit, often ineffable domain. The non-thought form gives birth to thought. The abstract becomes defined. A vague intuition is now a specific mental model. The state where thought does not observe itself is even possible. Or is consciousness doomed to chase its own tail, a snake devouring its own body in the endless Ouroboros of self-reference? It looks like thoughtlessness is not a destination, but a tension, an idea that the mind approaches, but never quite touches. You may sit in silence, watching thoughts drift like clouds, but most of the time, the watcher remains. And as long as there is a watcher, there is thought. So, the only way to be thoughtless would be to disappear entirely, to let go of the one trying to let go. You cannot do thoughtlessness because, as soon as you try, you've already thought. You grasp at it, but it slips through your fingers, as elusive as smoke. Every time you think you've arrived at no thought, it pulls you back into its gravitational pull. What makes this dark arc of consciousness so deliciously maddening is that you are not a separate being trying to find yourself in a world of lost souls. The very concept of looking for freedom is itself a cage, a paradox wrapped in chains of its own making. The thoughtless thinker has discarded the idea of freedom as a grand ideal and simply lives it. Freedom is not a destination. It is the absence of the need for destinations. To know nothing is to be everything. The thoughtless thinker has given up knowing. He no longer stands in the realm of answers. The paradox is clear. No, you must not know. To know nothing is to slip out of the grasp of thought itself, allowing the world to pour itself into you without the filter of interpretation. The beauty is that the thoughtless thinker has surrendered the need for truth, and in doing so, has become the truth itself. Well, if consciousness comes from a wrinkled electric sponge, then what a humiliating origin story we've got. The grand cosmic observer built from cholesterol and protein. Every philosophy, every spiritual system, every scientific theory you've ever encountered is a way to distract you from the knowing truth. You are the source of everything. What a curse! What a beautiful dark gift! This is why seekers and lunatics walk the same razor's edge. Chase thoughtlessness too far, and you may fall into something beyond human. Whether it's enlightenment or oblivion, in Tibetan Buddhism, it's said that in the moment between death and rebirth, there is a realm called Bardo, where the mind experiences a pure, unconditioned state, a chance to escape the wheel of illusion. What if the silence between thoughts is the same thing? An opportunity to slip through the bars of the prison? When you try to enter the silence, you bring yourself with you, and that is the problem. Who is the you that seeks silence? It is thought itself. To reach the silence between thoughts, you must leave behind the one who wishes to reach it. Imagine a computer program designed to delete itself the moment it detects its own existence. That's what the mind does when it attempts to be thoughtless. Usually, The more you try to silence your mind, the louder it gets. The thing is, a self-aware system can never fully shut itself down. This is the first lesson of the thoughtless thinker. You cannot turn off the mind by force. Instead, see it as an analogy for optical illusion. You may have the freedom to move in all directions, yet you are still a prisoner within your own idea of freedom. Develop the skill of seeing. Exercise your inner eye, and you will be able to see both illusions,